to week 3 of the Lilian Star Quilt Along, and today I'm really excited to show you my favorite way to trim half square triangles, or HSTs. And I am not a fan of trimming them, and so I was desperate to find the quickest way to trim them. So we're going to talk today about a little tool called the Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer by New Leaf Stitches, and I guarantee it will change your life. Let's get started. Okay, so here's how I trim my half square triangles. The 3 things that I use is a big long ruler, and this is really cool. This is a Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer, and it's from New Leaf Stitches. And it's the fastest way that I have found to trim a half square triangle. So looking around this ruler, you can see that there's little notches in here to cut off the dog ears off of the edge of the half square triangle. And a lot of people cut them based on the open half square triangle. This focuses on it still being folded up. So I really like that. You only have to make 2 large cuts and then a couple of small ones, and you don't have to rotate around your half square triangle. You'll also notice on here that there are some lines, some dotted lines and solid lines. This trimmer is set up to trim to half square triangles, which is, well, 1/2 inch, so like 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. We're going to cut to 4.5. So they also have a trimmer that will cut to whole inch sizes, like 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and so on. So the first thing that I do is I chain piece my half square triangles, and never mind that right there, but I'll cut them into lots of 3. And so I'll just kind of trim these up and get them ready to go so that there are 3 of them, mostly because that's as long as I can put my ruler across and keep things accurate. So this obviously isn't perfect because I just kind of buzzed through it. But what I'll do is I will line these up so that they are on the same line, relatively speaking. And then I will put my long ruler on top and just kind of adjust a little bit so it's as close to the middle of all 3 as possible. And I will hold this down and get ready to cut through the middle. So I'll start in about to the middle of the second half square triangle. I'll shift my hand so that we're getting a nice even cut without the ruler shifting. So then when I move that off, we've got 2 little sets. See, they're still connected. Don't disconnect those quite yet. So that's great. So what I'll do is I'm going to flip this one around so that they're all kind of facing the same direction. And I'm going to put the long ruler aside. And I'm going to get my Clearly Perfect slotted trimmer. And I'm going to leave these all in the same spot. I'm not going to pick one of the triangles up before I'm done with all of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up, and this board is a little warped, so oops. So you can see the seam is right on with that dotted line, and there's some excess around the edge for me to trim. And I usually like to use a rotary cutter that isn't the ergonomical one for this one, because it's just easier to maneuver and you don't have to clamp down on, there we go, it's better if it's in camera view. So this one that's kind of free and you don't have the ergonomical handle on it to press in as you're maneuvering into different angles. So let's get started. Trim, trim, trim. And see, I just trimmed off that little thread right there. So you're cutting up your chain piecing as you go. So there's one, and I'm not moving that yet, so you'll see what I do after that's done. But there's the second one. And I can do this a lot faster. I'm just doing it a little slower so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so there's that one. And Okay, don't move anything quite yet. So go down to the bottom row. And again, make sure you've got a little bit of excess around there so that you'll get a nice, accurate half square triangle. And of course, watch your fingers because nobody likes a rotary cutter injury. I've had them, they're not great. Okay, one more. And we haven't had it to rotate anything really, so that's really nice too. Last one. Okay, so you have 6 little triangles, so I'm just going to go like that to kind of separate them from the trimmings, and hopefully I got through them all the way on the cuts. So then I just stack them up. See, on this one there's a little bit left over, maybe that's just static, I don't know. So there's that, and then set those aside, and you've got all these little scraps. And I just go like that, and I have somewhere to put them. So you just cleaned up the scraps from 6 half square triangles that you just trimmed. So that's how I do it with these 3 tools. And that's it, and it comes together pretty quick. Okay, now that we have reached half square triangle Zen, it is your turn to get those blocks ready to go. This week is about sewing and putting together a third of your blocks, or if you want to chain piece them all at the same time, next week will be about that chain piecing. We'll see you then.